what would be the next kind of logical step of our discussion. And I don't know how much of what I talked about, how many weeks ago now? At least two. You remember. I suppose I should review a little bit that divine love mediumship is not the regular kind of mediumship you might encounter in a spiritualist church. Spiritualist churches are very concerned about communicating with spirits that have recently passed over, that may be relatives of any one of us, and to bring kind of a reassuring message through from those individuals. And that's a service that's provided in this church. But there are other kinds of mediumship. There's what I do and what Maureen does is called trance mediumship. So we're not focusing on getting messages from spirits who are recently passed over and are usually in a sphere that is not of the highest. Usually when people pass over, they go into first or second sphere, and celestial spirits are in above the seventh sphere, so they're way up there. If you think of these spheres have many subspheres, so you think of a very, very tall building, and the lower floors, like each sphere or section, would maybe have 20 or 30 stories to it, and you multiply by 7. And then you multiply by infinity, because in the celestial spheres there is no cap, there's no window or no ultimate level ceiling to it. The sixth sphere is where a lot of spirits go when they've really worked on themselves and have come to the point of complete purification. So they're completely in harmony with who they are, their beings. They're self-realized individuals. And self is the kind of operative word here, because it's in that sphere or in that path, self-realization indicates that there is no need for intervention from God. It can be the case, but there is no need. The individual works on themselves. It's like going to therapy for 1,000 years. They finally got all the stuff that they're concerned with figured out, and any kind of residual emotional stuff in them has been released, and they're happy. Everything's in harmony. They're feeling good. They feel what we call natural love, which is our own innate love, our own ability to love, is now blossoming. And they understand also all the laws of spirit, which are quite a number of them, in terms of how to operate in spirit, how to, I don't know whether any of you have read any books about what it's like in the realms of spirit, but you can move at will, you can you have perceptions, psychic abilities, you can make forms out of your own thoughts, so that's way below the sixth, probably around the second, I believe, second or third, somewhere around there. And so these people are, if we met a spirit like that, we'd be pretty impressed, because they are beautiful, they glow with a light, they know truth, at least the truth as far as their existence is, and they operate on this level. It's pretty hard to describe, I would say, what it's really like there, other than to say that everyone's happy, everything flows, it's all in harmony. It's intellectually stimulating. They know a lot, and a lot of their efforts and time is spent on researching the universe. They probably travel to different planets and whatnot too, because there are other planets out there, different realities out there and whatnot. So they understand a lot, and they're very, very highly accomplished. Yeah, go on. Go ahead, Terry.
Are their souls purified in the sense of their souls releasing the encumbrances and barriers?
Yeah. So the incrustations of the soul have fallen away. But it hasn't developed beyond that. That's the difference. Don't go beyond just the purification. Because when you go into the celestial, and these are the spirits that we're talking about and we're wanting to communicate with, their souls have now transformed. So they are different from these beautiful spirits that are in the sixth sphere. They are in another, almost, I think you could say another dimension, although you might, I don't know how you'd interpret that word, but the aspects and potentials of the soul begin to awaken. Where in the sixth sphere, the natural love, the mindful intentions of the individual are awakened fully. The mindful possibilities and capabilities of that individual are open. So, as I said, they're all very accomplished individuals and they could be accomplished in music, they could be accomplished in art, they could be accomplished in intellect and analysis of things. If they spoke to you, they could speak to you very eloquently, and all of those things. So, if you didn't know there were celestials, you'd say, "Oh, these are them. These are the angels," and they are to a degree, to a certain extent. They are the angels, but they're not the angels that we're talking about. The angels that we're talking about have gone beyond even the intellectual capacities of those in the sixth sphere. They've gone beyond perfection into something else, which is divinely evolved or transformed, so that they are able to communicate with God in ways that the sixth experience can't. So they are with God. They keep telling us their whole goal is at one-ment with God, at one-ment with the Creator. So they begin to open up divinely seeded potentials within the soul. And can I explain that? Well, I don't think so. I don't know what, because none of us have gotten there.
Looking at what you wrote in the book, you can't explain it in words. It's so far beyond it.
Yeah. So it's up the 150-story level, or whatever that might be.
Is Yogananda in the celestial spheres?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm beginning to sort of grasp as much as one is able when you're down here at this frequency of vibration. You get a glimpse, as you've written, as to what it is like there, in that you're not going through the mind. The bodies of energy or whatever you need for those levels and down here are completely shut. Am I right?
Yeah, your mind's gone, actually. You lose your mind.
But when Yogananda, Luke, Andrew come down and communicate through you to, because you're the most obvious ones right now that I can refer to, I'm getting that they're able to adjust to this frequency to communicate through you or through the divine love medium, shall we say, but they don't lose any of their celestial characteristics, skills. They've gone beyond that so they can come back and forth.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. When they come to this plane, as you're saying, a lower frequency plane, they have to lower their vibration to match it. They don't do it completely. They don't show up physically, obviously. And we have to come up a little bit too. We have to kind of get beyond the human condition, the earth plane conditions. Because they describe the earth plane condition, I think we've talked about this, as being like a fog, like it's cloudy, and it's foggy all the way through, and that fog are the thought conditions that we all carry with us day in and day out. Everything we think about is actually manifest in this condition, these energies. Not exactly the thought, but the energies, the frequencies that we're transmitting, the thought energies that we're carrying with us on a day-to-day basis are then resonating with the thought energies that are in the atmosphere. So, you know, when you say you're having a bad day, it's often that you're resonating with these lower energies, and that is influencing your day and your emotions. So the advantage when you're in connection with celestials and you're seeking the divine love, which is what allows the connection to happen, then you're raising the frequency of yourself. And I will guarantee you, if there are any of you here that have a lot of bad days, I will tell you that will change. That you won't have a lot of bad days. You're going to have some. I mean, it's the earth plane. Everything's kind of helter-skelter, so you can't predict everything or defend yourself from everything. But when you're in this kind of resonance with God, your soul and God, then you draw to you these celestial influences. But everybody in the world is influenced by spirit, whether you know it or not. Your thoughts are often influenced by spirit. We're all receiving and transmitting. So that receiving and transmitting system that we are on a certain level, on the mind level actually, is reflecting our own inner condition, our own thought condition, our own soul condition, the resonance of our whole body and that whole system that's us. And you're reflecting what's around you and the influences that are around you. So there are all these different levels. It's very complicated. We're not going to do a whole series of talks about that, because I think it's best to not worry too much about that aspect of it. It's the best thing to do is to focus on your soul development, to change that frequency up, so that when you do that, then these other things that bedevil everybody and influence us all and makes the world what it is, which is, in my mind, chaotic and unloving and difficult. There's lots of good things too. It's not like it's completely that way, and that's another aspect about the earth plane, about compared to other spirit planes, is that you get everything. You get the mixed bag. You meet people that are of a high vibration, you meet people who are of a very low vibration.
Al, can you finish that thought? Sorry, I'm taking notes. The best thing to do is focus on soul development, because when you do that, all outside influences that are unloving and difficult, what?
Are dissipated. or at least you protect yourself against it.
Less impact. Yeah,
There's less impact from these influences,
And
Is-
what you're saying is achieved through prayer?
achieved through prayer.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That changes.
You better read my book.
Yeah, that changes the frequency of vibration, it can say, so that it doesn't bother you as much.
That's a big part of it, that we're not getting hooked
Yeah.
by what's going on out there, or by your sister giving you a bad time about something, or, you know, your friend who's acting out and not being very nice to you or whatever. These things are not so important because we're not relying on that reflection from others to make us feel better. Because I remember learning years ago this whole idea of field dependency, that we go around looking for our reflection on everybody else. So whatever we're getting back from them is how we're feeling.
Yep.
We're getting the positive, then we're feeling good. If we're getting the negative, we're not feeling so good. And the goal is not to go there, because if you're detached enough, then you're not reliant on that. You're reliant on your inner self. And if your inner self is vibrating on a higher frequency, then you're good, right? You're feeling good. You always know where to go if you don't feel good. Because if you go to God in prayer, if you elicit these higher blessings, the divine love being the highest, then you keep resonating at a higher and higher frequency. You keep going up in the elevator up through that building. And one of the great benefits of doing the work here on the earth plane is that when you pass over, you're not going to land up in a lower vibration sphere. You're going to land up in a higher vibration sphere. Because the law of attraction dictates where you go. And that attraction is formulated within your soul. That's the very core of who you are. So when you're in a place that is resonant with God and you're feeling this divine love, this divine energy that's inside changing you, because it is transformative, then a lot of these issues that we carry with us, a lot of these burdens that are hidden deep, and they're all within our soul. They're all in there. People think it's in your mind, and you get this review in your mind. It's actually in your soul that this memory of your life experience resides. And when those memories are bad memories, or when our actions are not very loving, they accumulate in our soul. And they dictate where we go when we pass over in spirit. And the law of attraction then brings us to a place in spirit, a level, one of these floors in the big building, that is completely resonant with who and what you are at that time. So if you're kind of spiritually bright and somewhat enlightened, I mean, we're not going to know it all. I mean, in this lifetime, you're just never going to know all the spiritual truths and information. But if you've worked enough so that you've released a lot of these incrustations, like I was talking about last time, then you're lighter. And if you think of yourself, if you're like a balloon full of helium, you got a lot of helium, a lot of light in your soul, and you're going to rise up. You're going to go to a higher place. And it will then resonate with whatever level, whatever amount of helium you got in that balloon. And that's where you stay until you continue to progress. It's not like you're there forever at all. Every sphere in spirit is a temporary sphere, other than the sixth. And if you go that route, you stay in the sixth. You still can go further if you want. But our guides say that those in the 6 don't want to go anywhere else. They're happy enough where they are. There are a few that do, but not many.
Does that mean they're afraid of giving up their individual identity?
No, what they say is that they are so involved with their mindful activities, and they understand the soul, but they don't understand this further potential of the soul. Nor are they interested because they're quite content with what they've got,
But why wouldn't they wanna be a celestial?
because they're quite content with what they've got.
Rick's questioning.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're so attached to the celestial. They don't wanna release and go up to a
They-
higher vibration.
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
the celestial, in the 6th sphere.
Yeah, I understand that. So if you're in the 6th sphere, or 6th heaven, using
Yeah,
Paul's terminology, which managed to make it through the censors in the Bible. He said, I knew a man once who was caught up to the 7th heaven. Well, once you get a taste of that, metaphorically speaking, because again, words don't cover it no matter what language, you just want to go higher.
Yeah,
Whereas
because
isn't that where who you truly, each of us, that's what we truly are when we go into the 7th.
the 7th is a transition sphere. So the 6th is you've kind of set the mold, and of the human, the perfect human, every
Yeah, okay.
perfect potential that you have as a human being can be realized in the 6th. As a human being,
Yeah, I got it.
More-
Instead of a spiritual being?
no, instead of a celestial being.
Celestial or spiritual being, higher.
Yeah, well, 6 is a spiritual being too. I mean, they're all spirit
Yeah,
beings
okay,
from
got it.
all the way up. But in the 7th is a transition zone where you release your humanness.
Right.
And I think maybe that's what you're referring to. The maybe
That is exactly what
those
I'm
in the
referring to.
6 are not willing to release that humanness.
Yeah.
So this transformation of your being that happens in your soul makes you a different kind of being. You're a celestial being. You're not a spirit anymore. You're a celestial being.
well, you are
And-
a spirit.
I don't know about that.
Spirit, but, so, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether they have spirit bodies in this celestial.
There's no sex and no food, so, I don't know if I'm in a hurry to get
Yeah, but that happened way before then.
Yeah. So,
But,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
that is my understanding, what you're just saying there. Again, words, languages just can't explain something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you know. There's one mystic in the Middle Ages that wrote a book called The Cloud of Unknowing. You can't describe it, it's
Yeah.
beyond words.
Yeah.
But once you are at that that level, if you go further, the amount of divine light, if you want to call it that, again, words can't do it, you would literally fry out.
Yeah, you couldn't.
You couldn't
stand
deal with
either.
it, so
Yeah.
and that's probably why there's a lot of them hanging around on the 6th.
I think
So-
we're, with this discussion, getting into our minds,
I agree.
and we're kind of, it's so far removed from us. Is this the direction we want to go in?
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's, I think there's some educational things about this. I want to delineate between what's celestial and what
Yeah.
is
Yeah, okay,
spirit.
because that's what's in the book too.
Yeah, and, when we're talking about communicating with celestials, we're talking about communicating with different beings than what is normally communicated with on this level of Earth plane. So we're reaching for something quite a bit higher and quite different.
And with our souls, which is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Karen?
See, I'm wondering if this is, you're understanding it this way, that
I can't hear.
because we have a soul and a human nature, and our soul isn't actualized in its fullness until we receive sufficient divine love to even know that we are a soul and not just this and all our other natural.
I think there's a sense of it. I think we all have a sense of it. What it is, we don't know.
I think you kind of forget also a point called at-one-ment with God that
Yeah.
happened in the celestial. And so the key of being in the celestial is willing to be at one with God, because then you relinquish your will to do the divine will. You still have free will, but you're kind of your choice aligned with the divine will. So you're doing the will of God. And because you love God and you trust God, that it will realize your highest potential. And so that's an important component, and that's the free will that they don't want to give up, because they have their own idea about what they should be doing, you know.
And that's what's in the book too.
Yeah.
And you can do that right here on earth, so, you
can do
know,
that
we
right here.
seek at-one-ment with God in varying degrees, so it happens right now. It can
It's
happen
happening.
right this moment, so it's just a level, this is progressive and eternal, once we get that drop of God's love, and that love.
But, you know, when I'm talking about the spheres of spirit, the only one that I know of, and there might have been a few over the millennia that human beings have walked this earth, that actually went right into the celestial from the material plane. So we all still experience to some degree and to some level the different levels of spirit on the way there. And for myself, who loves to travel, I'm kind of excited about that. I get to experience these different levels of reality, what they are. That I don't want to go to the lower ones. As a tourist, I might want to check out the lower ones a little bit, but not live there.
Haven't we all at some point lived there though, on one of those planes, and we just don't know it?
Well, we can resonate with one of those planes.
Okay,
We can resonate. I mean, they can say hell is on earth, right?
I understand that.
Yeah, so that if you're resonating on a really low level, which I have in my life experience, yes, I know what that feels like. I do know what that feels like. But, you know, these are actual physical planes, you know, they actually have physical reality to them. And the lower you get on these planes, the more physical it is, the more it is like this earth plane.
Yeah.
The higher you get, it transforms into something a little different.
So
And
my
are
question
you-
is, what's the practical application of me knowing this in my life right now?
I'm trying to help you guys, and maybe you know all this already, but I'm trying to help you realize the journey that we're on. This is only one step.
When you're there, can you like travel all through them to the level that
When
you're?
you pass over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like can you go see people that are on different levels, so to speak?
You can go down easily.
Yeah, like obviously not past where you're
Yeah.
maxed out. I figured
You can
that.
be helped to go up.
Pardon?
Temporary.
Spirit guides or whatever can help you go up if they want to teach you something or show you something.
Okay.
Temporary.
But it's very temporary.
I just mean like, cause you know, like my sister passed, and if she was on a different level than me, would I be able to go see her?
Yes.
That's what I wanna know.
Can
Does
she
that
pray?
love bond?
Can she pray and help her ascend higher from here?
She
When
can
you pray?
pray for help for her, yeah. Yeah, she
What's
can
her
do
name?
that for her.
I'm
More
not-
help on the other side.
I'm not sure where she would be in those levels, I just want to know if we happen to be on a different one, could I go see her? That's what I wanted to know.
If you're
I
not,
think it's quite,
Hmm?
you can do it in your sleep state too.
Oh yeah, no, I actually can hear her and stuff.
Can
here.
you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
so there you are.
Yeah.
and if you
That won't
haven't
change.
told-
I just have never heard of all these levels before, so it's just something totally new to me, so I was just curious.
Yeah, well, that's why I
And
thought
if
I'd
you-
share it.
Thank you, yeah.
if you haven't already, even right now, right here, my prayer for her, what's her name?
Shiloh.
Shyla?
Shiloh.
Shiloh. oh, and I got goosebumps, would be helped by her guide, and hopefully a celestial guide. I'm sure she's following you here because your love and your prayers are with her. So she will have an angel to come and help her and progress in spirit.
Yeah.
You're doing that.
And I think Maria's
Thank you.
question speaks to the heart of why we're here. Because if we don't realize that we are a soul with the capacity to ask for and receive God's love, then we may be stuck for a longer time seeking spiritual evolution in a material way.
Yeah.
But really, the only thing that can activate and grow our soul is God's love. And the only way that it comes to us is through our free will choice. So your question, how can we actualize or enact or make practical application of what we're learning here? Pray, pray, and pray some more.
Yeah, and I think I spent quite a bit of time last time talking about soul progression and how to do that. So I thought I'd fill in kind of this other, what the journey is going to be like. Because I have to tell you all that's what the journey is going to be like. You're not going to go to the celestial spheres as soon as you pass over. These other things are going to come into play. So my goal is to reach the third when I go.
So just
What I've heard of the third sphere, it's beautiful. And for a guy like me who loves art, who loves flowers, who loves music, who loves beauty of all descriptions, that's a little bit of paradise. If I can get to that point, then I've done good. You know, I might get further than that, who knows? I might not get further than that, who knows? You know, but
I hope
that's
so,
the goal.
dear. I don't want to wait too long.
This is the third sphere.
Well, you can come and visit me.
In his beauty. That's great.
So just to keep it simple, because Terry was quite
Eloquent.
impactful in helping
Yeah.
me. So when you pray, so she explained to me that when you pray, you ask for your soul to be filled more with God's love. I'm just saying this for other people who don't know,
Absolutely.
because I kind of feel like I've gotten a bit of a tutoring with Terry.
Yeah. So if you think about what I said, everything is progressive. Everything moves along and evolves. It's on a line, a progressive line. And even our soul development and our spiritual development is progressive. But it's determined by us. It's determined by how we choose to progress and what we choose to progress with. And we've been talking about divine love, which is like rocket fuel to any of us who want to progress, because it is the essence of the Creator, the highest form in existence, the highest love in existence,
The highest vibration.
the highest vibration. So
So
if we add that into our soul through prayer, through receiving it, then this resonant, vibrational, glad you made it. Energy then builds and builds and builds and builds within us. And that, as I said, that energy determines what level we vibrate on. Yeah, come on.
Come on, Deborah.
I'm doing
Join the crowd.
I'm like, where do I
You're
enter?
Yeah,
And jump this, but we're just chatting.
Al, would you, I wonder if you agree that what prayer is essentially building a relationship with God. And it's a relationship that's built on your love and longing for God and God's response to that love and longing. And it's without words, so it bypasses the mind.
Not necessarily without words, but it could be. Could be.
What part of it is not beyond words?
Well, what can often open the soul is our thought. Our thought and our desire together. So there is kind of a, I don't know, a whole package of what
But not
what
thoughts
opens
alone.
that blessing.
Right, not thoughts alone, right?
Not thoughts alone.
Right.
No. Yeah, not
I,
thoughts
and I don't know if this applies, but I always thought it as, you know, you have to liberate your shadows, your dark parts that, you know, need to be brought into the light with the help of divine love. To increase
Well,
your
you bring up a
consciousness.
really good point. And this is kind of a fundamental difference between this one path that I was talking about that goes to the sixth and the other one that goes to the celestial.
Mhm.
Because the advantage of the divine love is it's a proactive activating agent.
Mhm.
So it actually cleanses us in its whole process of being present in our soul, rather than for those who take this path towards the natural love, they have to work at it. They really got to go into the mind and into all these details of the experience of your life and all of those aspects of who we are and our memories in order to rectify and reconcile it all. So it's a very, very arduous and complicated process.
Mhm.
Now, the divine love doesn't completely bypass that. There's something called expiation. So when you receive divine love, it actually pushes up the heart of it, the very kernel of that condition, if it's not in harmony with love, the divine love. Anything that isn't in harmony with divine love will be eventually expelled. So you kind of sweat it out spiritually. And so you might smell a little bit, you know, but
Yeah, yes, I can understand that.
but the other way is more of a mindful thing where you're forcing the issue, you're forcing it through, and because certainly when you're in spirit, you know what condition you're in because it becomes very obvious. Every emotion, every thought, and everything is amplified tremendously in spirit. We're clothed in flesh, so we have kind of a muffling experience in
Feedback.
life. You know, we're not so highly attuned and sensitive to all of the emotional, mindful, mental condition, vibration that we're emanating all the time. Sometimes we can just forget about everything. I like it, I hope we're distracted by something. None of that actually has any relevance in our experience of the moment.
I think some people have a greater capacity to turn off their minds, you know, and others, their minds are just so active. You know, we're watching a documentary on Bill Gates last night. Well, his mind is just, you know, probably beyond anything we could comprehend. But my dear husband, when we first got married, I'd say, "What are you thinking?" Believing that if he really loved me, he would share all his thoughts. And he'd say, "Nothing." And so I thought, well, he doesn't really love me. And I kept pressing to find out what he was thinking. Now I know nothing's going on in there. And I think that is a gift. It is a gift because he has a capacity to be able to let go of the material things. He's an introvert. He always was in the garden, in his artistic efforts, creativity, and where my journey and my gifts are very opposite. And so it's much harder for me to,
So I don't need a mind, I got hers.
and my phone, and, you know, we're a good team.
Well,
Anyway.
isn't it also that some people are more grounded in their body and their body's capacity to feel and do?
Yeah, we're all different
Exactly.
personalities,
Yeah.
have a
That's
different
how I
experience
see
in
you.
life.
You're not mindless, but you,
Sometimes I am.
the energy flows in action and
Yes.
in feeling.
Yeah.
He's physically centered. I'm emotionally centered. So we're all so different.
That's a masculine and feminine kind of thing.
Well,
It is kind of, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
stereotype.
yeah,
Oh, it has nothing to do with stereotypes. You can be a masculine woman. There's plenty of those out there.
Okay.
We've bred that in society quite easily.
yeah. Leanne?
So I don't know if this is like left field, but if somebody has like a near-death experience, are they traveling to a certain level and then coming back, or they?
Often they are, yeah, and they think they've gone to heaven, and they've probably just gone to the third sphere. And they think they've met Jesus, but they've met a higher spirit who's bright, and they think, oh, who can be any brighter than that? But it's really a spirit who's helping them in that experience. Yeah, they might have gone further, I don't know, I mean, they're all, but in the spirit planes, I mean, there are planes that are very Christian. And all of these kind of Christian iconic ideas and beliefs are manifest in these spheres because the mind creates the reality. And so they think they've gone to Christian heaven, and in a way they have. But it's not it's not the heaven I'm talking about. It's something different. So there are many, many, many aspects and levels of reality in the world of spirit. So, you know, when you arrive there, and we all got a long time before we're going, but just keep in mind, you know, it changes. It's an evolution through these different realities. And the more I'll tell you, the more you pray for divine love, the quicker it goes. Because that, as I say, that rocket fuel then gives you the impetus to keep moving ahead. Because there are some spirits that get stuck in a plane for thousands of years. Because they think, that's it, I'm here. I mean, even some of the Christian belief is that you either go to heaven or you go to hell or some other place and you're there forever. That's not true. Nothing is forever.
So isn't there somebody there that can like?
There
tell
are,
them
if
there's
you
more
desire
to
it.
this?
If you
Okay.
desire it, then you.
But the people
attract.
around you, if they all think the same as you,
Okay.
and they're all reinforcing each other in this resonant, mindful, you know, this, what I was talking about, the frequency thing, that's hard to get out of it.
I have another
There's
kind of
lots.
like, I don't know, I feel like it's a silly question, but you said you want to go to level 3 where it's all the things you like art and beauty, and is there a level just with all animals?
There are sub levels and 3 and all of them, well, I don't know about
Where
all
you
of
could
them,
just like,
that are very much just animals, yeah.
But you manifest them too.
But,
Yeah.
well, I don't wanna go into that because you probably won't believe me, but,
oh, I will.
um,
I will believe you, I promise.
animals don't have an individual soul. So unlike us who do, animals have a collective soul. So when they pass over into spirit, they go into that collective soul, and then I think they're recycled, they're reborn. That's kind of, I don't believe in reincarnation for people, but I think maybe reincarnation for animals is the way it goes, I'm not sure. So, but if you have a pet that you really love, if you really love that pet, you can manifest that pet to be with you in spirit.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it would come back in another animal.
No,
They
but,
have a spirit body, you know, animals
well, I
have a
know, yeah, I'm
spirit
getting into trouble here with this kind of thing.
Yeah, you are. I wouldn't go. Anyway, I disagree with
body.
that.
I was gonna say that animals have a spirit body, and they don't have a soul, but they have a spirit body,
Yeah.
and like Alice said, when you love an animal, and love is the power here,
Yeah.
you will
Yeah.
always have that animal. You will, and that will be that animal, it won't be something else.
Right.
It'll be Dusty or whoever it is. It's,
I
There
remember we have a Facebook page, which you're all welcome to join. And one of the questions was, who would you like to meet first when you go into spirit? And everyone says, oh, I'd love to meet Jesus and all of that. I'd love to, meet some high spirit and all that. I
Or
said,
rock star.
I want to see my dog. That's who I wanted to meet first.
But there are some fabulous books about life in the world unseen, you know, the spirit spheres.
Oh, there's
Okay.
lots and
And-
lots of books on this subject.
Anthony,
Lots.
Anthony
Raphael.
Borgia
Yeah.
is
Sorry?
very famous. Anthony Borgia. BORGIA.
And Raphael has the volumes of by Paget, Messages Received, and there's some romantic ones around like Nero killing the Christians in Rome and feeding them to the lions, and he goes to hell, and his soulmate is celestial. She was one of the ones that was thrown to the lions, and how she helps him. It takes centuries to get him out of hell. And then there's the Judas books, which really, have you been, Rick's our best bookseller. And stories about progressing in the spirit spheres. And Yogananda, who is one of Jimbo's primary guides, he's given us a couple of messages on his journey through the spheres, because when he was on Earth, his life was really devoted to spiritual teachings, but they were more the natural love teachings. And then when he got to spirit, he found out about divine love, and he progressed further until he's become a celestial angel. So if you're interested in that, we can link you up with some resources. Just send me an email and we'll,
Okay.
And
Thank
there's a
you so
website
much.
we download all these books for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Al, I just
Jeff
wanna
Cutler's
pick up-
website in Australia.
Yeah.
I got a whole, I read the book, or going through the book, but it's easier to look at on the phone and the tablet. And Judas, that is the language is so much easier than Paget's in
Yeah.
the sense that it's
Or
common
contemporary.
to this way
Contemporary. Yeah.
of writing now, or speaking and so on. So, Judas himself said that, I was in hell for a long time, and then, was it Andrew? I think?
Andrew.
Yes, Al's
Help
guide.
them out,
And Yeshua came through too. And so we went, oh, okay. Now he's up in the celestial.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna
Can I just
Val-
close this
yeah.
on.
pick up on one thing you said, which
Sure.
I think is really key? You were talking about reality and human-made reality, reality of the Christian spheres, and God's reality is other than human reality.
Yes,
And that is what is so hard for us to grasp.
yeah,
And the only way we can grasp it is through the feeling, the experience of receiving divine love
Yep.
and carrying it with us. And that actually allows us to activate the senses of our soul, the capacities, seeing with the eyes of our soul, hearing with the ears of our soul, experiencing this life through our soul perceptions.
yeah, very well said.
Yeah. Perfect to
Yeah.
segue into, well,